How do people live in different parts of Britain? We travel to the Midlands, to the industrial city of Stoke-on-Trent. 250,000 people live in Stoke, and some parts of the city look little different from how they did 100 years ago. This is Snee Green Primary School. Children are putting on The Pirates of Penzance, an opera written about the same time their school was built. Stoke is a city of red brick houses. Factories were built just across the road from the homes of the workers. They had names that told you what they made. For Stoke was famous for its pottery. Cups, saucers, teapots and plates. Canals snaked past the backs of the factories. Today, you can still find some of the old bottle-shaped kilns where the pottery was fired. The pottery industry was part of the fabric of the town. The decorative mouldings on this old building celebrate the traditional pottery-making processes. Turning the clay, painting the pots, and the man who started the industry in Stoke over 200 years ago, Josiah Wedgwood. Back in Victorian times, pottery made the town rich and grand buildings were created. But there was a price to pay for all this wealth. This is what Stoke looked like 50 years ago, with hundreds of smoking factory chimneys. And street after street of grimy terraced houses for the workers. In those days, canal boats delivered raw material to the factories and carried the finished goods away. Many of the old industries have gone, but you can still see what's left of them and imagine the sounds they made. By the 1960s, large parts of Stoke were in a mess and something had to be done. So millions of pounds are spent on a big clean-up. Hundreds of square miles of derelict land where old industries used to be were transformed into open parkland. It was a great improvement.
People living nearby need places to go to, sort of relax, so then they filled in some of the holes and then spread grass seed.
What used to be spoil tips were turned into wooded hills, and the old clay pits became lakes.
They've got different facilities like barbecues, picnic tables and lots of other things. You could see some squirrels if you were quiet enough.
It was like a field and you could play on it and stuff like that. They used to play cricket and football on it.
The old railway tracks that used to go through the city were converted into greenways for walkers and cyclists. This is what the view from the train used to be like before the big clean-up. Now where the old steelworks used to be are new offices. Where there used to be coal pits, you can now get pizzas. There are plenty of jobs for people in these new out-of-town shops, but not for the same people who used to work here on the railways, the steelworks and down the mines. The old pit offices are now a hotel, and there's a canal marina where an old slurry lagoon used to be. People now come to Stoke specially to have a family holiday on a canal narrowboat. Not long ago, few people in Stoke would have thought that their city would become a holiday resort. The canals that once carried clay and crockery now carry people for pleasure. From the boat, you can see other ways that people now enjoy using the canal. "50 years ago, and for 100 years before that, this part of Stoke was full of smoking pottery factories, mines and steelworks. Although the whole area has been cleaned up and modernised, that doesn't mean there's no industry left in Stoke. This is the British Steel Rolling Mill. Here, they make girders. The process starts with this 4-ton block of white-hot metal. To turn it into a girder, it has to be squashed and stretched under huge rolling presses. Compared with years gone by, very few people in Britain now work in this kind of heavy industry. Once it's been through all the rollers, the girder is now 80 metres long and much thinner. Finally, the long girder is cut into the right length for each customer. Half a million tonnes of girders a year come out of this rolling mill, to be sold all over the world. Another old industry that's still surviving in Stoke is the potteries. Here, they still make cups, saucers and plates, but with modern machinery. But whatever way it's made, making a plate starts with a lump of soft clay. Most plates have the pattern stuck on using transfers. Famous factories like Royal Doulton sell millions of pounds worth of pottery all over the world. A dinner set like this, painted in gold and rich colours, costs over £500. In this factory, they also make pottery figures. It's very skilled work.
The arm there, see it? Go around the waist now.
Half the working population of Stoke once worked in pottery factories. Now it's about a quarter, but that's still a lot of people. These beautiful hand-painted figures are still made by Stoke's craftsmen and women, just as they have for years. But until recently, the unique thing about the pottery industry was that this beauty was created in such dismal and depressing surroundings. But now, all that's changed. This is the new town centre. Like many other towns in Britain, Stoke has its own huge city centre shopping mall. As well as being a place where the people of Stoke can spend their money, all these new shops are providing more jobs. 1,000 people work here behind the counters, serving 10,000 customers a day. This giant teapot is at the entrance to one section of the shopping centre that just sells the local product, pottery. Every kind of cup and saucer, mug and plate is on sale here. There was work too, building the shopping centre itself and fitting out all the shops. Which brings us to one of Stoke's new industries, shop fitting.
On this particular part here, then that's like a terrazzo entrance, so that can remain. So
Company boss Dave Hilton explains what they've got to do to modernise an office in the town.
Because they don't want the
It's an expanding industry because how shops and offices look is important nowadays.
We've got approximately a fortnight from start to finish.
This company makes things that go into shops all over the country.
Well, this is the workshop. This is where all the general manufacture is taken care of. These are all for a job that's going out to Glasgow and Cardiff, just a standard display unit that you see in Debenhams, House of Fraser, and that type of store.
Down there, yeah. Going up.
Cramped up, glued, screwed, and then that's taken over to a finishing plant where they apply all the polishes and such things. On this bench, we're preparing some uprights to go on a Sainsbury's supermarket. As soon as this has been screwed down now, then that'll be loaded onto the van there, and that's all ready for a go to Exeter. So all being well, come Tuesday night, then most of this lot will be installed.
Over the years, some of the old industries in Stoke have disappeared. But they've been replaced by new industries like this, with new jobs and new skills. The centre of Stoke-on-Trent has changed from somewhere scruffy and down at heel to somewhere lively and clean and as modern as any other city centre in Britain. So the children, who started us off singing a 100-year-old opera, can now enjoy the latest laser battle zone.
We